Afternoon.
Morning. Okay, I hope you have your breakfast or lunch ready. Okay. Because we're going to have a very exciting time with Mr. Kian Chai over here. Okay, Mr. Kian Chai is a professional and expert in the art and design field. Okay, he has worked in Las Vegas in the US. Okay, at a gaming company called Petroglyph. Okay, and of course he has a lot of experience to share with you all later. And please prepare your questions to ask him later. Okay, how is his life after Saito College? Okay, he's a Saito College graduate. Okay, 1996. Okay, of course, the time is Mr. Kian Chai.
All right. Well, good morning, everybody. Almost afternoon, but so as Mr. Wong has said, I'm Kian Chai. I was a Saito student in 1994. This is back when Saito was in Fujitsu Plaza in BJ Old Town, and there was no computer. Everything is traditional, right? And then I graduated in Saito. I was in the Diploma of Graphic Design program. I graduated in 1996. And I'll talk a little bit more about my history after this. So basically, I will start the presentation right now. Who am I right now? I'm currently working, Mr. Mark was saying, I'm working in Las Vegas for a video game developer called Petroglyph Games. I'm the lead concept artist for this video game, for the company. And I'll talk a little bit more about what's my job, what do I do and stuff like that. So that's who I am right now, and like I said, Petroglyph Games in Las Vegas. I've been in the game industry for 9+ years, and before that I was in graphic design industry and also computer animation industry for 3 years plus, not including school time. Right? So this is I'm going to tell a little bit about what I'm doing right now first, so you have an idea of what I'm doing. So I'm working for this video game right now called End of Nations. Okay, you can go to endofnations.com. You can see all about it. There is a world first AAA multiplayer, massively multiplayer online experience for a real-time strategy game. If you're familiar with Command and Conquer, Red Alert, right, like StarCraft, that's real-time strategy. But all the real-time strategy games so far has been just box title, right? You buy the game, download it, and play it. Yes, you can go online and play online with friends, but it's not a real online experience. So we are trying to be the first, the big budget, first RTS online experience. So every time you play, you gotta connect to the server and log in. And right now, I'm not sure if this game will be available in Malaysia. I'm constantly telling my publisher, please release the game in Malaysia. That's where I'm from, right? I know Malaysian people want to play it, right? But we are trying to find partners in Southeast Asia, because with online games, you need to establish a co-partner publisher so they can host a server here. So when you connect to the game, there's no lag, or else when you're playing with a player in the US, you're playing a couple hours delay this. Yeah, you can't play games like that. Right? So the game is actually coming out this year in 2012. I've been working on this game for 3+ years since the pitch. So I was with Petroglyph for 5 years now. I was very lucky to be part of the company during when we were pitching this game. I was doing one of the first art, for them to put in their PowerPoint when they're pitching for publishing. I'll talk a little bit about who is a lead concept artist. What do I do, right? Right now this is gearing more towards product design, technical art, illustration. But I tell you that everything I've learned from Saito, right, graphic design wise, I've used it every day. Every day. Even when I'm doing painting, I think about shapes, composition, layout, flow, even right now when I'm doing conceptual art, my knowledge from graphic design has served me very well. like most of my colleagues, you know, who just do concept design, they have no idea what graphic design is. They can draw a pretty, a character, a vehicle, right? But they have no concept of, they have no idea how to present it. So I always find my knowledge of graphic design has served me well. I know how to present my art, right? I know how to frame it, present it in Photoshop. You know, I do like the little typography in there, right? It's so important, right? So all that thing that I've learned so far has been really good. So a lead concept artist role is basically, all right, like when you start a video game, right? Your art director or your creative director has a vision, right? They have an idea. They'll write in Word document like, we want to make a game about futuristic military tank game, right? But there's no picture at all. There's no art done, nothing. So I'm, as a lead concept artist, will be the first guy who will create the first picture, right? Whatever, like my art director will tell me, I want to, just like Kian Chai, just come up with, like an imaginative, illustration of what this game could be. So I'll just, all right, cool. I'll go back, do some thumbnails, present to my art director. My art director's like, I like it. I don't like it. This is how I want it. Like, a lot of times it's a very team effort. So then I'll, start doing the final illustration. And then that's usually, it will be the first image that the company or everybody, including the publisher, will see. And the challenge of that is you have to get everybody excited. If it's not exciting, nobody's interested in your project, right? I mean, this is like the first impression. First impression is the most important thing, right? Especially with people who are paying you money, right? And then the other thing, what I do is every important thing in the video game, I will set the style, the look, the design, the mood, the color palette. I will set everything. I will work with my art director and set it. And when my art director is not around or when he's busy, I usually step in to help him co-art direct, the game. When an artist, like a 3D modeler, have questions, they'll come to me like, hey, what's this? What is the design? Blah blah blah, So it's a very important role, right? I also manages a team of concept artists. So I have I myself, I'm the lead, but then I have a few more concept artists that work with me in my department. What they do is, doing kind of what I do, but a lot of times I will do the key art, and then I'll pass it to them, and they will do something more for production, right? They will take my, my loose painting, and then they'll dissect what's in that painting, and they'll take it and do an actual production concept art. Then the modelers can model, and animators and texture can be used from it and stuff like that. I also do a lot of boring stuff like scheduling, right? I gotta make sure my team is properly scheduled. When they come in the morning, they know what to do, right? They turn on the computer, bam, they load up their task. This is what you need to do today. You have 4 hours. This is what you need to do today. You have 3 days, stuff like that. I have to make sure everything is set up for my team. At the same time, feedback is so important, as you know, right? As an artist, you sit down and do your work, but nobody else has seen it. You don't know whether they like it or not. That's so important, right? Especially working in the studio or in a actual production, right? Because you should not keep your work a secret. There is no such thing as secret, right? Everything should be as transparent as it can be, right? Everybody needs to see what you're doing right now. They need to see what you're working on right now, and then you need to always be prepared to present your work, right? So there's no such thing as I'm gonna sit in this corner, don't copy my stuff, do my stuff, and don't look at it, art director is not allowed to look at it. No, there's no such thing. Anybody should be able to walk in right now, what are you doing right now, and you can present what you're doing, because it's alright, it's okay. It's a team effort. There's no right or wrong, right? Everybody is trying to figure out, right? You could draw something wrong, it's not your fault, it's just I as a lead and my art director is in charge of leading you, right? It's in charge of managing you. If you wasted 2 days doing something wrong, it's my fault and it's my art director's fault. It's not your fault, because my job is to make sure you're doing the right thing every day, right? Every hour, so you're not wasting company's time and stuff like that. Okay, so to give you a little introduction of what this game is, I have a little trailer that you can watch. We have some speakers in the front, so hopefully you can hear what's going on. So Tron is like my publisher. They're the guys paying the money. They're like Electronic Arts, Ubisoft, stuff like that. This is my studio.
Trading on the global markets came to a screeching halt today. Regulators cite the worldwide economic crisis as the driving force behind the sale.
Food and gasoline rapidly becoming scarce across the globe. Coalitions are forming to fill the void of governments unable to provide basic services.
We've lost power and heat. Does anyone know where we can find shelter?
No place is safe. If anyone thinks you've got food, they'll kill you for it. Deserts, stowing military weapons and vehicles, tanks, helicopters, they're taking whatever they want.
Does anyone know what's going on?
Oh, have you seen this thing? It's like a battleship on wheels. Put your soul, a dozen tanks all the way to the south.
It looks like somebody's taking charge, but who the hell are they? If they can stop this chaos, then I'm on their side.
Citizens of the world, we are pleased to announce that the Order of Nations is now restoring security and basic necessities on a global scale.
The Order of Nations shot a man just for asking questions. You're obviously here to help.
Watch what you say. Every night more people are disappearing.
I heard a resistance is forming. It's time to fight.
So there it is. So that is the it's gonna be the intro movie, you know, to our game. It's all pre-rendered stuff. If you go to endofnation.com, you can see the actual game. You know, like what the game looks like, you know, what's going on in there, the story, stuff like that. And then I'm gonna show you a little bit about like what I do, right, for End of Nation. Most of these are just like stuff has been approved for public viewing. Like this is just the tip of the iceberg, right? Like there's like 3 years plus of work. So my office is full of like stuff that are used, not used, but I'm not allowed to show them yet. But eventually, like, when the game comes out, I'll post it on my website, my blog. You know, you guys can check it out. You know, tell me what you think. You know, I'd love to hear feedback and stuff like that. Oh, by the way, if you have questions during my presentation, just raise your hand. You know, I'll try my best to answer your question. Super casual. This is a super casual, like, you know, presentation. I think we also have a Q&A session when I'm done, so we can also ask questions. I also brought my business card. You can take one. My email is there. Feel free to email me if you have any questions, you know, stuff like that. I understand, you know, when I was a student, I will die for opportunity like this, you know, to see a professional talking, and I'll be like, please don't go. Give me your email. Give me your phone. You know, I'll be like begging him for everything, right? Like I want to learn, right? I mean, that's the most important part for you right now. So you can see like there was like a big boss tank in the game just now. Like so, I designed like, you know, all the like the major key tanks like that. So this is an example of like the standard of today's concept art, right? Like this is very standard. Like most video game does this. And what we do usually is like, you know, from thumbnail, like I usually like I used to draw on paper with pen and marker, right? And now I have transitioned over to just strictly computer, right? I always draw straight all my thumbnail, everything in Photoshop, and then in what. But don't take that as a wow. I don't need to learn marker and pen. Like that is important. That is so important, right? Photoshop is just a tool, okay? The Photoshop doesn't teach you how to draw. How do you learn to draw? By hand. That's how you learn to draw, right? That's why you're using a Wacom stylus, right? You're not using multi-touch to draw your concept art, right? You're not using your brain to draw, right? You're using your hand, because that's how you learn to draw. And you learn to paint by hand, right? That's so important. So I already understand like all the basic techniques, right? The foundation. That's why I can just, all right, I can just do it in Photoshop, right? I'm treating it as a tool. So usually like in Photoshop, I'll do my thumbnail, submit, email, whatever, and we have a meeting with my art director, he give me feedback. There'll be like multiple times of revision, okay? Like sometimes it takes a really, really long time before your art director will say, yes, this is it. So keep in mind, it's not your fault. It's just the nature of the beast. This is the process of creative development. Like I can tell you, this is something like you can see the date on top is 2010, right? But this is not my first concept art for this. My first concept art for that is back in 2008, okay? I have like half a day to draw this, right? I was like, okay, half a day, I'll give you half a day's quality, but then, we're dealing with deadlines, right? But over time, like you can tell, like something that looks good 2008 is not gonna look good in 2012, right, when the game comes out. So last year I have to go in, my art director has a new idea, so I kind of take that opportunity to go in and revise my work, right? Like, all right, here's my chance to polish and make a version 2.0 of my design. So here's like the latest design, this is gonna stick in the game. So back to my process, right? Usually, like, all right, when the thumbnails is approved, right? Thumbnails like your rough, idea, very loose, very rough. You only spend like half an hour, 1 hour, 2 hours making as many ideas as you can. When it's been selected, I will take it to 3D Studio Max, right? I will start modeling the whole tank, okay? This is very standard right now in the industry, okay? I model the whole thing. It's actually this finish, but it's not game friendly. You cannot take that and put it in a game, the game will crash, it's not gonna run. Because I don't care about poly count, I don't care about how many verts, how many polys, I just, oh, you sphere, all right, I just click a sphere, put a sphere there, like, we call it the guerrilla modeling. It's just a temporary thing, right? It's just for me to create, the 3D version of that vehicle, right? And then what happened is I'll do some renderings. I select my lighting carefully. I do my renderings. I set up my renderings, and then I render the image, bring it back to Photoshop, and this is what you're seeing, right? I put it in the Photoshop, and then I start painting in Photoshop. All the details, the texture, the colors, lighting sometimes. There are stuff that I don't model, and then I just draw it in Photoshop because I can draw faster than model it in 3D, right? I suck at modeling, this is just basic, like, 3D modeling. My modelers will laugh at it. It's like, what is this, It is so silly, or whatever. But it's like, hey, it doesn't matter. This is just for me, But what really helps in video games development when I do that is, because whatever you draw, it's going to be given to a 3D modeler, right? What 3D modeler is like, oh, okay, you usually have to draw the front, side, all the orthographic view. But 3D modeler doesn't have to guess anymore what their concept art is, okay? When I give my concept art and my 3D Max file to my modeler, and what he sees is like, wow, you already finished modeling the whole thing. But it's not game friendly, right? But he doesn't have to guess, oh, what's the height, what's the length, all the perspective, right? Everything is there in my 3D model, right? And he can just trace it or start a new model, but based on what my design is. So this saves a lot of time, and there's no room for mistakes, right? And it gives more power to me because I'm the designer. I want to make sure they get everything right. When you just hand-drawn everything before, sometimes you get lazy, or sometimes there are areas that you didn't know time to draw. But the modelers will be like, hey, what is that? Can you come over and show me what is that? Can you draw something? You gotta there's a lot of go back and forth, right? So this is just one of the tank concept art. I also do this is the one I was talking about. When the project started, this is my first art created just to set the tone. What is this army game that we're making, right? So we kind of already talk about, oh, you as a player is, you get to control your units. And you're fighting with this mysterious enemy who have big, giant, tanks, stuff like that. Very arcadey. This is another like concept art that I created, but it sets the tone for who the enemy are, and basically like this concept will set like the actual game level, right? Like, and then my concept artist will start like making, you know, all these like cannons and guns like that, and then the models will do it. And we were using this for like exhibition and trade shows like that. This was the first time like animation went out to trade show. We won a lot of awards in E3 and in E3 in Los Angeles, Gamescom in Germany. You know, like people were pretty excited about it. It was like, wow, we haven't seen anything like it. You know, it's like Command and Conquer, but futuristic and darker, you know, more serious, kind of like Call of Duty meets RTS kind of deal, you know. More concept art that I do, you know, I also do like structures, like everything, right? A lot of times, like I can tell that, like, I don't just do this. Like sometimes I come in, they're like, hey, we need a T-shirt. Okay, I'll do a T-shirt for you. All right, fine. I'll load up my Illustrator. I'll design a T-shirt for you, right? Oh, they're like, hey, we need a logo. Can you spend some time to design a logo? It's like, all right, cool. You know, I'll design a logo. That's when my graphic design from Saito.Academy helps me, right? Like, all right, I know graphic design. I can do this. You know, it's easy. Or sometimes my company, like they launch a new game called Rise of Immortals, right? And they hire like some like, I don't know who they hired to do the website, the logo, and it looks terrible. So I went in, it's like, hey, I can help you redesign the website and the logo and, you know, the menu in the screen. So I went and, you know, redesigned everything for them. So all my graphic design experience has served me well, you know, on top of like illustration and stuff like that. Okay, now I'll go to the, you know, I'll be fast on this, just, you know, I don't want to bore anybody. So this is my history, right? I was a Saito graduate in the United States, GDEM 21. Diploma in graphic design. It was a 2-year program. I started work in SS2 for a company called Impact Communication. They also publish Journal One magazine. This is like 1998 or 1997, right? Right after I graduated from Saito. My first job, as you know it, DTP artist, right? DTP artist, right? Everybody loves that word, DTP artist. I just do like corporate, you know, corporate brochure or corporate books, right? All I do, I go to work, you know, I take minibus, I take bus from Klang, and then I transfer with minibus, you know, in Asia Jaya, and I'll take minibus to SS2, right? Holding onto the doors, like, oh, every day, you know, I mean, all that, it's so packed, and every day I do that for like, you know, like 6 months. But then I transitioned over to Illustrator for Journal One magazine. I started doing a lot of illustration. I'll show you some of my sample after this. I've managed to find them on my hard drive last night. So doing a lot of illustration. These are all done by hand back then. You know, gouache, acrylic, marker, pencil, you know, stuff like that. The computer is still like starting, right? Computer was used to layout, you know, for doing Quantum Express and stuff like that. But illustration is still mainly done by hand. When I was done with this company, I went to section, well, I guess SS19. I worked for a video production house doing motion graphic artists. Basically, I'm doing computer animation for like corporate videos. So you think about like flying logos, right? What you see on TV when the logo comes out is in 3D, it's flying, it's rotating, it's exploding. So I did that for 3 years. So I was starting to run out of idea how to fly logos, right? After 3 years, it's like, well, I can only do so much 3D charts and flying logos. But I was really lucky, like, because they're dealing with video production. So I was, you know, part of the filming crew as well. So we traveled the world, you know, shooting videos, and it was fun. I mean, come on, I was only like, you know, 22, you know, 21, and I get to travel the world while working and see the world. I took a lot of pictures. I still use those pictures for my work, for reference, right? And it was really fun. It was a great experience, right? But I always have this question in me. It's like, I really want to learn character animation. I really want to learn more than just what I've done, right? Like, I want to find out like how, you know, like video games artists work. What do they do? Like all the process. How does like Disney or Pixar do character animation, right? Like I'm always have a passion for it. So, after that, like I packed and, you know, in 1999, I just decided to, you know, pursue a bachelor in character animation, a bachelor in fine arts character animation in the US. But here I have just two little sample of my early work. Like this, the one you see on the left, this is for my Saito graduation, right? This is like, you know, gouache illustration on top, and then there's like marker rendering, and then airbrush work. Remember airbrush? I don't know if you guys have used airbrush now anymore, you know? My nose is filled with colors from airbrush all night long, right? You don't sleep, you just airbrush every night. These are all like 20 by 30 illustration. And then more airbrush work down there. I have like graphic design stuff. I don't have it with me. These are like so old, I don't have it with me. And then these are the stuff I did when I was working as a student for magazine, you know, like traditional illustration for magazine articles, right? Magazine articles. I left for USA in December '99. I went, you know, pursue a bachelor in fine arts from Edinburgh University, Pennsylvania. It's a full 4-year, you know, bachelor of fine art program. But because I studied in Saito, they managed to reduce it to like I still have to do like 2 years because of the like syllabus different between countries. Like American have their own thing, right? But I was like, you know, I was like doing full credits. I was kind of rushing to graduate because it's very expensive. I have to work 3 jobs to pay for my food or rent and tuition fee, right? So I did 3 years in there, major in character animation, right? And I was very lucky when I joined the college. They just hired an ex-Disney animator. So he was working in Lion King, Pocahontas, or Hercules. This is back in the 90s, right? So he was a master in traditional animation. I didn't want to show everything in my presentation. You can go to my website. You can see all like my work in animation and stuff like that. So I was really lucky. I get to learn from like one of the Disney master. Like he'll teach me all the great fundamentals of animation. Right, like whatever you learn, like whatever I learned from that foundation, I can apply to everything from Flash animation to like Pixar movies. Like my classmate is in Pixar right now. One guy is in Wera, New Zealand, and a couple guys in like Disney and all over in America, you know, working for feature film. But I always liked video games, so I ended up, you know, I wanted to go into video games, right? So I just, you know, pursued my career in video games. And then after I graduated, you know, from my college in the U.S., I got my first job in the U.S. in 2003, right? This is during the tech bubble. This is when the first .com crisis. This is when the U.S. went into recession. I was like, oh crap! I just come out from school and it's a recession. Everybody lost their job, lost their money, right? So here I am. I'm like a fresh graduate. I have to compete with everybody in America to find a job, and it was tough. It was tough. Like again, I was working like 3 jobs, you know, paying like all the money I make from my job, I use it to print my portfolio so I can apply for a real job, right? So but then this is your challenge, right? This is your challenge. You know, this is your comfort zone right now. You're in Saito, you're in school. This is very comfortable, right? Once you leave Saito, the real world begins, right? Nobody's gonna tell you what to do. You have to figure it out yourself, right? And that's your learning experience. Like, take it as a challenge, right? I told myself, I bought a one-way ticket to America. I'm not going home. I need to achieve my goal, right? Like, I just try. Like, at the end of the day, if I fail, it's fine. Like, I will come back to Malaysia, whatever, right? I know I've tried my best. I can go home, I can sleep, I can die in peace, right? I already tried my best, right? But you don't want to, like, go home, sleep at night, it's like, oh, I could have done better. I know I should have done this, but I didn't. I was lazy. I wanted to go drink with my friend, I want to do this and all that. When you have that in your mind, your self-conscious will tell you like, wow, this is wrong, I need to do better, I need to do something about it, right? So it's a learning experience, right? Like, you know, that was my challenge, I tried, and then I ended up, and I found a job, you know, in WizKids. And this is back in Seattle, right? Seattle. I found a job at WizKids. It's a game company that makes like little collectible miniature game, you know. It's called HeroClix, Mage Knight. You know, a lot of comic book stores sell that game. Kids like to play it on the table and stuff like that. It's a game company. You know, there's a big art department, and Oh, a little story on that is like, you know, when they call me, I was like selling television in the shop, right? And then the art director called me, hey, I got your resume. Do you want to come for an interview? I was like, yes, I'll come right now, right? So they interview me, and you know, they look at my portfolios, and then they call me, it's like, sorry, we went with somebody else. Like, you know, you're not good enough, you know, because you don't have experience in America, right? I was like, no, okay, sorry, you know, it's fine, right? But guess what? 2 weeks later, he called me back. He's like, you know what? The guy we hired sucks. So, do you want to try again? I was like, yeah, hell yeah, you know, of course, right? Better than selling television, right? You know, this is what I want to do. So I went in, you know, and then I'll show you what I do, right? I'll show you what I do. Like, this is, you know, like right now I think back, and I did what I have to do, right? Like, it was painful, it was hard, it was harsh time, right? But it's worth it. It's worth it. It's just a journey, right? And so this is what I do in that company. This is my first job, right? It's like back into DTP artist days again. So in the morning, I wake up like 6 in the morning. I took a bus, 2-hour bus ride to go to the office. I took 2-hour bus ride to the office, and I do this all day. That's what I do is they have they're using Adobe InDesign. So what I do all day is look at this Excel spreadsheet and look at the number and enter the number. Right? Look at the number, enter the number. Look at number, enter number. Look at number, enter number, right? And I did that for 8 hours, you know, no lunch break because I don't want to waste time eating lunch. And then I took another 2-hour bus to go home, right? You know, so when I go home, I'm dead. Like, I just collapse and die, right? But this is what I do. And the thing, it was a surprise to me because like, I was like, all right, I'll try my best. You know, like whatever, give it to me, like whatever. I'll do my best, right? Because that's my personal philosophy, right? I'm not gonna cheat. I'm not gonna lie. You know, I'm gonna do my best. Whatever, it's fine. So my art director ended up telling me, like, wow, Kian, you are fantastic because most artists who did this terrible, boring job make so many mistakes. But for me, you're like nothing. There's no mistakes. You're like perfect, right? Maybe one, but that's it. Like. So I did that for like 3 months. He was like, wow, you have a great attention to detail. I was like, oh, okay, thanks. I'm glad, you know. I just put on my headphone and, you know, work, you know. I was like, think about Malaysia, all right, just work. I don't want to go, I want to work, I want to, and then, you know, it's like, you kind of have to earn your way, right? This is normal. When you go to a new studio, like, nobody knows who you are. Yeah, you have portfolio from student, that's nothing. You don't have work experience. It's completely different. That's the real thing, okay? So you need to earn yourself in the studio, right? You don't go in thinking you're a rock star. I'm a rock star, look at my work, right? Give me my office, you know what I mean? Like, there's no such thing. People is gonna like punch you in the face, get out, you know? You have to go in with really, really low profile, right? If you have a great portfolio, it's great. That's your foundation. That's really, really good. That's important. But go in knowing that you're nobody. You have to be humble, respect all your senior, all your peers, right? Like, and then think about like, I gotta earn my way up. Because in time, if you're good, they will see it, they will notice it, they'll recognize you, and they will treat you with respect. So you kind of have to earn it. You don't just, you know, hand it down unless your dad is the CEO or something, right? But in time, so after I did that for like 3 months, my art director was like, hey, you know graphic design, right? I saw your EX, like Saito.avi. I was like, yeah, I know graphic design. It's like, hey, we have some like boring wallpaper, you know, desktop wallpaper. Can you do something about it? I was like, awesome, I love it. I was like, I can use my graphic design skill again, you know, like I'm not even doing animation because I went to school for animation, right? I'm not even doing that. I was like doing back to graphic design. I do like wallpaper stuff like that, and my art director was really impressed, like, wow, the task is so simple. I'm expecting just a logo, a background, you know, most artists is just, just logo and background, like done, you know, don't even care. But I took it to the next step. Like I come up with like some illustration, like I didn't do the characters, right? But I did the rest, like everything, right? I did the rest for that too. I just cut and paste, you know, the hang from somewhere else, from the packaging illustration, right? So my director was like blown away. They're like, not only you finish your task, but you took like, you know, 2 steps further, right? You took it to the next level. These were like, he said this is like the most gorgeous wallpaper they have ever seen in the studio, right? So I was like, all right. yeah, then I continue doing more. And naturally, when they like you doing something, it's like, okay, here's more. Can you do more? You know, like, fine. That's better than entering number all day, right? I was like, okay, fine, I'll do it. You know, some Mac words, wallpaper, you know, I do. And then eventually, I'm doing like magazines for magazine ads and stuff like that. Again, like a lot of times, a lot of artists like take things for granted. They receive it, they think about the movies they want to watch at night, they think about their girlfriend or boyfriend, they're not concentrating, okay? For me, I was going in with like clear focus, my life is here, this is going to decide my future, I need to do my best, right? So like, I just do the ads, the creative director paid attention, he noticed my work, and he really liked my work, so he ended up like giving me like more assignment to do, bigger stuff. This was printed like a big poster, they were using for marketing and stuff like that. Again, I went back to like graphic design skill, right? I learned about like layout, space, color studies, and stuff like that. And eventually they're like, wait, you can draw, right, Kian? I was like, yes, I can draw. It's like, all right, how about like some character design? Can you do some sketches? Because usually when I'm doing like graphic design or whatever, right, when I'm like waiting for somebody to tell me something, right, I always sit down at my desk and sketch, on paper. I always draw, like sketch everything that comes in mind. At least I'm doing art, right, not just going to internet, back then there's no Facebook, right, going to internet, or like talking to like the artist next to, hey, what did you do last night? I was like, no, I'm not gonna do all that. I'm just gonna sketch, right? So my creative director walked the office all the time, and she walked by my office at night. She's like, wow, these guys do a lot of sketches. So she ended up like, hey, Kian, can you do some character design? I was like, yes, I love it. So these are like some, these are extremely disgusting, I know, but it's for like a little kid's game that deal with like disgusting stuff. And then eventually, like, perspective that I learned in school, like marker and pen illustration has applied to my work. This is all like done by pen, right? Like, I was like, all the marker and pen illustration I did in Saito has helped me to do this. But on top of that, there's imagination, right? I always love like fantasy and sci-fi stuff. And eventually, they have me do a lot of this and this. So they constantly throw new challenge to me, like, hey, can you do something new, blah blah blah. And eventually, I was like, all right, doing more concept art, like this is a concept art for a big statue that they built for a game convention. So they built the whole thing, and they'll give it away in like game convention as an exclusive. So I was like, wow, I was really happy I get to design it. It was really honor to design that, right? Again, my graphic design background has served me in presenting my concept art, right? Because all is required is just a pencil sketch. But I took it a step further. Like, it's all about your presentation. Will define who you are, right? Like, why stop there? Right? Why stop at just a pencil sketch? Take it to the next step if you have time. It only takes me like half an hour, 20 minutes. Like, put in the background. It's all Photoshop, Put a logo there, some typography, like some noise brush in the side, and then bam, suddenly your pencil art, it become like, wow, almost like something can be framed, right? And companies love that because now they can use something for marketing. They can use something to sell the game, not just a sketch anymore. And eventually, like, I do more character design, right? This is for a really fun, like, cartoony style tabletop game called Rocket Man. So I did all the characters, and I was already like like setting the style for the game. Like me and one other senior concept artist, we were like fighting, like who can draw better, who can do better art. And ended up I was like all right, I'll just do what I think looks cool. And ended up my creative directors picked my style, and then so I ended up like taking my senior concept artist work, and I apply my style to his drawing and put it in the game. And I ended up like setting like a lot of the stuff, like I also supervised like all the storyboard. Like we did like a Flash animated series on the internet, to promote the game. So I did I supervised all the storyboards, character, the vehicle, the game, and also I deal with the animation producer, in production, producing the animation. So it was really fun, like just fun, like character stuff, you know, much better than entering number on, you know, e-design, right? But and then eventually I was the CEO of the company, you know, he recognized my work. He invited me to join his R&D team, right? So I'll basically be the CEO's right-hand man, right? Like he will have all these crazy ideas, and I'll do a mock-up for him, right? So he can play around, like, you know, to figure out if the idea is good or bad. So by the time I was in the R&D team, I do a lot of like fast turnaround stuff. Sometimes he'd come in at 5 o'clock. Hey, I have this idea. Can you do like a quick, you know, card design? I was like, all right, cool. I'll do it in 1 hour, 2 hours, and then he'll take it home and play with it and test it. You know, next day he's like, all right, that sucks. Never mind. We'll do something else, right? So every day I come into work doing something different. It was a lot of fun, right? And then I ended up doing a lot of like fantasy. These are like fantasy illustration for games or just new games that they're trying to pitch. A lot of this were published in like the ballistic publishing books, like Expose and a Painter. You know, some of my art show up in Painter, and also I think Concept Art. You know, they all published at ballistic publishing. And eventually, you know, like I totally like go deep into conceptual art. These are just stuff I do for myself, right? Except the one at the bottom here. So you can see there's a Saito sun in the back, right? I think my mind was thinking about Saito when I was doing that. Oh, I saw a Saito on Facebook, and then my mind subconsciously drawing that. And then I'm drawing like a robot in the front. And then again, like just personal work. So I'm going deep into like conceptual art, like character design, mechanical design, stuff like that. And this is like the game I'm working on right now too. This is like my freelance. I work on the side. Like this guy's doing again like a tabletop games. They need a lot of illustration. They're all spaceship. I was like, yes, I love spaceships. So again, like I know this is stuff I just did last year, a couple of months ago. I'm still working on this game right now. It's coming out soon. It's called Solar Circuit Racing. This is the stuff, some of the stuff I do right now. And okay. How are we doing on time? Are we good? Or all right, good. All right, okay. I hope you guys will learn something today. You know, I hope I will be able to give something you guys can go on learning something. It's not like a waste of time. So I try to think about stuff that you guys can benefit right now. So like this is job requirement. This is like what is required to work in the professional studio in America right now. All right, this is like basic stuff. If you don't have any of this, you're out the door. Okay. So problem solver. This will apply anywhere. If you go to work after your college, this will serve you greatly. You are hired, right? First of all, somebody pay you money. Hey, can you come work for me? You are hired to solve problem. Okay. There's a problem because they have a project. All right. They need artists to make art. That's a problem. So your job is to solve problem, first of all, okay? So don't become a problem. Don't go in the company and become a problem. When you have become a problem, you're an obstacle, and then you're no longer a part of the problem, the solution, right? So first of all, think of yourself as you're a problem solver, because every day your art director, your boss is going to come in, hey, how do we do this? We only have 2 hours. How do we do this? We have this presentation, right? Your job is to, okay, I know what to do. I know what to do. This is your solution, right? Don't tell your boss, we have a problem. I don't know what to do. That's like, what do I pay you money for, right? Like, I might as well, hire somebody or pay himself to do it, right? Second is attention to detail. Okay, this is so important. If you make mistakes in your work, right, you're wasting your company's time. So that translates to you're wasting your company's money. Okay. And your mistake could translate to a bigger problem. You're going to waste another person's time. Like if I make mistakes in my concept art, it's going to translate down the line. I'm going to waste the modeler's time, a texture's time, an animator's time, a technical artist's time, and eventually an engineer's time, right? And then a publisher will have to look at this mistake, and you're wasting his time. So it's going to cost like from your, like $100 to become like, $5,000 problem really, really fast. So attention to detail is extremely important, right? It's the same example I was telling you about the numbers on the dial, like don't make mistakes, because every mistake the art director has to double check, right? Because you're wasting everybody's time. It's okay, take your time, it's okay. All right, a team player, okay. when you work in a professional, like collaborative environment, you're part of a team. Just like right now, you're with your friends, you're part of a team. Okay, don't shy away thinking like, whoa, I'm isolated. Like think of yourself as a team. You're there. You're guys in the same boat. All of you guys are not enemy. You shouldn't be shy or whatever. Like you're all on the same boat. You're all trying to achieve the same goal. So when you have an ideas, contribute it. Don't keep it. Don't be selfish and stuff like that. Don't have like personal agendas. Think about it as a team player because it's always being recognized, right? Your art director, your boss will love it when you play as a team. When you don't play as a team, you're always doing your own thing. Eventually, you're gonna get fired because, like, you are a problem to the company, right? You're constantly not following direction. You're not listening, right? You always want to do your own thing. Then you should start your own company. Don't work for like a team environment, right? So that's really important. A positive attitude is extremely important, all right? Nothing worse than a coworker that has always negative, because that will destroy the morale of the team, okay? If a person is constantly negative, talking about negative stuff, pretty soon you will spread to the team, right? Everybody will hear that, and then they keep thinking about the negative stuff, and it's gonna spread to a big problem. And if the management found out, like, all you guys out the door, right? We don't want you. We'll hire a new team. So stay positive, right? It's okay. It's just a job, right? You're not gonna like send to prison for doing something wrong. Whatever. It's just a job. So stay positive, have fun, in your work. And of course, good communication skills is extremely important, right? You gotta be able to communicate to your boss, to your art director, what's the problem, what you're trying to do, right? That's extremely important, right? A lot of artists are very shy, antisocial, kind of personality. I totally understand. I'm also like that sometimes. Right? But you need to find a way to communicate. Okay, don't just I don't know how to explain it. This is just what I do. It's like no, that's not good, because whatever you communicate, your art director will communicate that to your CEO, to the boss, right, or to the client. So it goes down the chain. Like every time, like I tell my art director what my idea is, blah blah blah, and then he used what I say to present to the next guy, right? But he recognizes that. He doesn't say like it was all his idea, that would suck, right? But he always recognized me. He's like, oh, thanks to Kian, he was the guy behind all these ideas. Like, he gives proper credits, okay? You always have to give proper credit. Credit your friends, credit your peers. If it's not your idea, give proper credits, because you are an artist. You are making a creative work. So you are expecting somebody else to credit you, right? If they like refer to you or your work, right? So it's a lot of like respect involved. So this is a slide. I was thinking like, what is the best advice I can give, right? Like, so I thought of, okay, if I go back to Saito right now, how would I treat my learning experience differently? How would I behave differently, from where I am? Because I tell you, like, since Saito, right, it's stuck in my mind that every day when I go to work, it's like, wow, I did this in Saito, blah blah blah. How was I before? How am I right now? So I thought, like, wow, like stuff like I wish I pay more attention to, or stuff like that, my weaknesses and stuff like that. So find your key interests, okay? Recognize your key interests. If you like typography, if you like illustration, the better you realize, the sooner you realize that, the better, because you're saving yourself time, right? It takes time to develop skills. You don't become a master overnight. So the earlier you recognize that, the better you are for your future, because you're gonna master your craft early, and then you have more time to develop and do more projects, right? Like, find your key interests. Hopefully you don't graduate in 2 years or 3 years, whatever, and still unsure what you want to do. It happens. It's okay. Maybe you need more time, but try to find your key interest, right? So you can find a focus. What do you want to concentrate on? Because your lecturer always tell you, what do you want to do when you graduate? It's like, I don't know. Whatever comes, okay. But those who are focused in your class, right? Those who are focused, I'm gonna be, a graphic designer, right? Those are usually, like, they will be more focused, more motivated. You come up with a plan. In 5 years, I'm gonna be an art director. In 10 years, I want to be a creative director, right? And then you come up with a plan, like, how do you want to achieve that? be realistic, right? Don't be like, well, I'm gonna be a art director in 2 years. I'll be the rock star, right? Like, nah, it's not gonna happen. Be realistic, right? Attention to your weaknesses. Like right now in your classes, I'm sure there are some classes that you don't like, right? There are classes that you love, right? So pay attention to the classes that you don't like, okay? Don't take that out. I hate that. That sucks. I'll never deal with color when I graduate. Like I live with that problem when I graduate, okay? Until now, I was like, I wish I paid attention to my color studies. Oh, you know, like I should have paid attention, right? Like focus on your weaknesses, okay? Make sure you pay attention to this because those problems will haunt you for the rest of your life. If you don't tackle it right now, you're gonna suffer when you go to work. Because when you go to work, you are no longer learning. You're supposed to be applying your skills, right? What you learn. This is your time to learn, right? Now you have 24 hours to learn something. When you go to work, you have 8 hours to use what you have learned. You know, yeah, you can learn, but most of the time you're expecting to do something about it. Your relationship. This is very interesting because I'm not talking about your girlfriend, boyfriend in the relationship. Okay? That's none of my business. Like not that. What I mean with relationship is you'll be surprised who your classmates will be your best friend. You know, in 20 years from now, right? Like I have made a lot of friends in my class, you know, in GDM 21, and I have like 3 like best friends that I still see them every time. My friend come to the US to visit me, you know, we keep in touch. Some of them are in Japan, some are in Singapore, you know, like we keep in touch. Like, you know, we still talk about what's going on in the industry, you know. Hopefully in the future we might work together again, who knows, right? But your relationship is important. Also like every class has a top student, right? It's normal, right? There's always somebody who's better than you and somebody who's not good as you. Like relationship is important. Like treat all your classmates as your best friend, okay? Make friends with as many people as you can, because you do not know who you bump into after Saito, okay? You know, like some of the friend that you don't like might become like an art director, and then you need to apply the job to him, right? Like you never know, right? But that's not why you should be friends. I'm not telling you that's not why you should be friends, right? But try to establish good friendship because it's gonna carry you years from now, right? I keep in touch with all my boss, you know, all my art director, right? They still call me and tell me, hey, there's a job somewhere. Are you interested? You know, because. There's no harm, right? It's only benefit to you, right? And you also benefit them, like when they need help, I'll help them, you know? Like treat them as a friend, right? Also your relationship with your lecturer, okay? It's extremely important, right? I still have my lecturer on my Facebook, I keep in touch with them, you know, like, because I really respect them. Like they gave me my foundation, right? Your lecturer gave you your foundation. Those are the guys who started you, okay? You have to respect, like, treat them with a lot of respect, like, you know, because they're still there when you graduate, you know, you might still like bump into them, you might still have questions you want to ask them, you know what I mean? Like, I still have a lot of questions for my Saito professor, but I don't know where they are right now, some of them, right? I wish I can still like, you know, talk to them more often. It's really, really important, okay? Relationship is really important. If I go back to Saito right now, I will like try to make best friend with all the, you know, everybody, the professor, the teachers, because you know, like it's you need each other in the future, okay? And keep an open mind. What I mean by that is, a lot of times I notice this a lot in students because now I've been working for so long. I've hired a lot of students, right? I notice there's a trend. I think maybe it's a new problem. I don't know. I noticed a trend. Like a lot of times, like students graduated with a very strong opinion, okay? A very strong judgment against something, okay? Do not have that. Do not have that. You just enter the industry. You don't know anything, okay? Industry is a lot of times it's like a culture shock to a lot of students, right? Who graduate, right? But it's just normal, right? But keep an open mind. Like just absorb whatever it is, right? Don't go into a company when you graduate. It's like, that art director sucks, right? He doesn't know what he's talking about, or I hate his work, his style, right? that's gonna ruin you. That means because now you're no longer a team player, right? You come in and you already form so many opinions. You don't even know him. He might be an award-winning, illustrator from 10 years ago, but he's, he might, but at least they all have more experience than you, right? But keep an open mind, even in school right now. Like absorb everything, okay? Like every class you go to, keep an open mind. Do not form opinions about a class before you even enter it, or a lecture that you don't even know, right? Because every lecturer has more experience than you are. Every lecturer knows more than you are. They all can teach you more than you know, because you don't know what you don't know, right? You have to talk to them and learn and stuff like that. And classes that you might hate, or stuff that you might hate, or you might have a strong opinion, you'll discover later that maybe some you're like, oh, it was true, like your opinion was right, but a lot of time it will hurt you more than help you, right? Just keep an open mind, and then you might discover new things that you never discovered before. It's like I was afraid of a lot of things when I was in school, right? I was afraid of using computer because I was trained in traditional, right? But once I touched computer, I was like, wow, this is so natural to me because I already know the traditional. I can do much better than somebody who never does traditional because they never understand the foundation, you know what I mean? So keep an open mind and then go in. Like right now, even my challenge every day, it doesn't stop. Like I constantly have to do my homework. Right now, even right now, right? I have family, I have kids, right? I go home, I'm tired, like my kids will be like, and everything. And I still have to find like 1 hour, 2 hour, maybe practice in Photoshop, and look at the other artists' blog, look at new tutorials. I need to constantly keep myself up to date because that's your challenge. You're going to be doing this for the rest of your life, like it or not, right? If you want to stay in the industry, you have to keep your skills sharp. So you constantly, you have to give yourself challenge. As soon as you realize I'm comfortable right now, that's a problem. That means you're not going to be able to grow anymore. You need to constantly do something I'm not comfortable with. Try new things, right? And then you're gonna break the barrier, and then you're gonna keep growing as an artist. Just vital fundamentals. I notice a lot of students graduating from school have a lot of problem in this area. Perspective, right? Perspective, right? I know when I was in Saito, everybody's like, oh, perspective, I hate perspective. I need to use the pen and draw. I don't understand the 2-point, 3-point, 4-point perspective. But man, you use it every day. Use it every day. You need to master your perspective, okay? I have hired students who can do beautiful illustrations. They cannot even draw straight lines, okay? But they cannot even draw something a modeler can model off. The modelers will look at his beautiful illustrations like, I don't know what to do. It's very abstract, it's very pretty, the paintbrush, the color is very pretty, but I cannot do anything with it. The modelers cannot translate it into an actual production work. So study your perspective, okay? It's extremely important. Graphic design, illustration, typography, everything, even the animation perspective is extremely important. Because it determines the scale, the location of each thing, composition, and stuff like that. Cool. Layout, learn your layout. Make sure your layout has good flows. Learn all the fundamentals, like what's a good layout, what's a bad layout, what's a good spacing, shapes. It's extremely important. I'm still seeing a lot of professional that doesn't know how to do proper kerning, proper spacing in their layout, right? They'll do giant font here and then something there. It's it's totally not balanced, right? It's a problem. You have a luxury as a graphic designer to master all this, okay? Color studies is extremely important again, right? Master your color studies because everything is in color, right? You're dealing with color for the rest of your life. How often you do a black and white stuff, right? So learn your color wheel, okay? Learn your color wheel, your Pantone, and master your what's a complement color, what's a primary color, secondary color, and stuff like that. It's really, really important. You use it every day, and treat software as a tool, okay? Software changes every year, okay? Your foundation will never change. You will have the same foundation for the rest of your life. Software is just a tool, okay? When I went to college, I learned Corel Draw, I learned Quark Express, I learned Illustrator, Photoshop. I use Painter, but now I just focus on Photoshop, because Photoshop is really fast. I like to use it. It's just a software, right? Because I already know the fundamentals. I know what to do. I know what to do, right? I know what I want. I just using the software to assist me to get there faster, okay? Don't treat it, I'm a Photoshop expert, then I'm a good graphic designer. It's two different things. What, do you want to be a Photoshop operator for the rest of your life? Or do you want to be a good designer for the rest of your life, okay? A good designer, you can throw them, a sand and rock and they can do a beautiful layout, right? A Photoshop, you're good at Photoshop, you're just a software operator, okay? You're just good at technical stuff. You can be a technical artist if you want. Like I deal with 3D software all the time. Like 3D software is like a huge thing, right? Like people ask, hey, do you like 3D Max? Do you like Maya? Do you like Softimage? Like, dude, they're all the same. They're all the same, right? I learned animation. I can just give me any 3D software. I can give you a beautiful animation because it's just a software. It's just finding where's the button, right? Now the software is getting more and more consistent with each other. It's just, okay, where's the button? I can give me CorelDRAW, I can do something about it. Like a lot of concept artists using Google SketchUp, to do 3D modeling, right? It's still a 3D software. It's just a tool. It's just, where's the button to help you get there, right? It's just a tool. Don't be like, hampered down by, wow, I need to, master Photoshop. Like, it's a tool. The more you know it, yes, it's a benefit because it's a shortcut, right? You know your shortcuts, you can put your ideas on the screen faster. That's all it is, okay? But don't try to compare yourself, like, hey, I know Photoshop. What do you use? You Painter, you suck. I use Photoshop. There's no such thing. There's so many. It's all just a tool. Some artists like using this. Some artists like using this. Like for me, every studio I go to, they have different software. Every studio I go to, different software. All right, I gotta learn a new software. It's fine, like in a couple of weeks, you're gonna get used to it, and then your life revolves around it, right? It's normal. I guess that's all I have, and open it to question and answers. If you guys have any questions. No questions? Wow.
I have some questions.
Yeah, sure.
Can you describe your typical day as a concept artist?
My typical day?
Yeah.
Okay, I go into work. I like to go into work at 10 o'clock. Okay, don't judge me. An artist you sleep later. I think the Saito day says, transfer my clock to like late. I'm a vampire and whatever. I go into work at 10, drink plenty of coffee, just me, right? And then again, I sit on my computer. First thing I do is like look at my task, right? Okay, any important deadlines today? Any important deadlines for my team? Any important meeting for the day? If there is something important, I need to make sure I'm ready for it. Like meeting require presentation, require preparation, or like there's a critical deadline today. Like a 3D modeler is waiting for concept art, right? You're waiting for a design. Then I gotta make sure my concept art is on me, have to finish that work so somebody else could start. You cannot afford to waste somebody else's time. So I do that, make sure like what's for the day, and then I talk to my artist, right, to make sure, hey, how are you doing? Do you know what you have to do today? Do you have everything you need today, right? Do you have all the feedback? Did you submit your work last night? Did you email your latest design last night? And did the art director give you feedback yet? If not, I have to go to art director, hey, I need your feedback right now, or else the artist cannot continue doing, right? You're just wasting his time. And that sort of thing, that's my job. I gotta do that every day. And then usually that will take like half a day to get everything settled down. Then I can go back to my computer, if I'm lucky, to open up Photoshop, to start like doing my tasks, right? Like I have my task to design new things or do new art. Then I'll start like doing my work, right? Doing thumbnails, whatever, or continue doing an illustration. But at the same time, like I don't know, but like I think it's probably the same. Like in America, you're constantly on the network, right? You're constantly on the internet. So I constantly have to have my like Outlook open on one monitor, right? All the emails and the companies are there. because people constantly email, hey, I have a question, or blah, 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 or somebody will like knock on your door, hey, I have a question. Then I'll be like doing stuff and check my email, like see what's going on, and then I'll go to another artist's office if they have questions, you know, things like that. So like, because now I'm a lead, so I'm dealing with a lot more management work, you know, than I was before. So I spend a lot of time during the day doing a lot of management stuff, like making sure everybody's know what they're doing, talking, ideas, brainstorm meeting and stuff like that, attending a lot of meetings, stuff like that. But my artist will come in during the day, he open up his computer, you know, like he knows what he has to do. Like today I need to continue finishing up this design. The deadline is today, right? Or the deadline is tomorrow. So he's gonna be just focused on doing that for the rest of his day. Like 8 hours, he'll be just doing that, right? But at the end of the day, you always have to, you know, save a JPEG or whatever and send an email, you know, like, hey, this is what I have today. Is this all good? What's the feedback? And a lot of times, you know, the art director will send you feedback at night or tomorrow morning, and then tomorrow you gotta revise it and stuff like that. So you always have to be prepared, and I always like to tell artists, like, make sure your you know, don't have like, you know, your Photoshop file or Illustrator, don't have like a million layers in there, right? There's no reason you should do that. Like, but keep it clean and organized, right? Because you're working in a studio. If you are sick tomorrow, somebody needs to open up your Photoshop, and they open up to these disaster layers, you know, like, they don't know what to do. They don't know what to do, right? Nothing is labeled, nothing is, like, they have to dig through like 1,000 layers. He has to wait like, you know, 2 hours just to understand your layers. Then it's no good. Then you have a really bad production flow. A lot of artists do that, I noticed it. But you need to pay attention to that. Make sure your layers are very straightforward in your Photoshop, right? If you're sick the next day or you're not able to come in, but there's a sudden deadline, somebody should be able to open their Photoshop. Oh, okay, I know, this is, you know, the headlines here, the art is here, you know, they can, you know, do changes really quickly. So think about that. It's all a collaborative, right? Same thing, artist is doing the same thing. You should be able to open another artist, stuff like that. But I, as a lead, I always set up like the template, right? I tell them, make sure you label it this way and so forth, so it's easier for the artist. You know, or else every artist would do it differently, right? Every artist think differently, and they'll do their own little, you know, thing. And you know, my job is to make sure it's kind of consistent. Saving your work, backing up your work is extremely important, right? You know, computer always die, hard disk always crash. You know, I always back up my work every day. But it also depends on your company. A lot of companies are very protective on their work. They're like, no, you cannot back up your work. It has to stay in the company. You cannot take it home. Some companies are very relaxed, you know, like, yeah, you can back up for yourself. You know, just don't post it on Facebook or something, right? Don't show it to public domain, right? So there are things like that, you know, this is what I do every day, but like, I still deal with like huge challenges, right? Like, like long hours is common, right? Like, you know, but our enemy as an artist is time, right? Time is our enemy, right? You always need more time. You always need more time. Like, I need more time. Like, why is it not enough time, right? I've been like 12 years, I'm still dealing with the same problem, right? It's just the way it is. It's not gonna go away. So you better live with it and suck on it, right? Don't complain or whine about it. Just, if it's an hour task, like I have to do concept art like from like, sometimes it's just half an hour, okay? To like 1 week or sometimes 2 weeks, right? Or like takes, like sometimes some things takes a lot of iteration over the years. So you constantly have to have the stamina for it, okay? Like yes, you sometimes you get tired, you get exhausted. Like I get burnout, you know, when I do too much. I go home, do a lot of freelance. I go back to work, my brain is fried. Like I cannot think creatively. You know, like you get those days, and what you do is like you try to get through the days. Okay, you try your best, right? All artists understand it. Like sometimes you're like, wow, man, I'm so fried. But hopefully it's not every day. Then it's a different problem, right? But you know, and then you get through your days. So try to look at like inspiration. Okay, look at inspiration. Look at what other artists is doing. Usually that helps you give some new energy. Okay, it's like, wow, I really like this. It gives you some new idea and energy, and you can go back to work and stuff like that. You know, it's really common, right? You know, like, I mean, like, keep yourself healthy, right? Don't kill yourself, you know, because you're just beginning, right? You're just beginning. You have the rest of your life to work, right? Like take all your classes, like go to the library, take all the references. Another thing I like to tell artists is pay attention to what's around you, because that's usually your inspiration. That's like original inspiration, okay? Don't try to copy what other people is doing, okay? Like if you see, like, you know, like I was learning animation, right? Like you look at Pixar, right? Like they're really good. They are the best, right? They're the best. But you cannot just watch their films and think you can be an animator because you don't understand the process, okay? There's like, you know, like hundreds of legacy behind that process in America, right? Started by Walt Disney and blah, 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 and you cannot just copy that. You need to understand the process. So you always do your research. Now you have internet. Back in my days, there's no internet, okay? Now you get internet, you get tutorial right there. Just Google how to do this, bang, the tutorial comes out. There's so much stuff you can learn right now. It's just, you have to just look for it, right? Look for it, and then in no time you're gonna learn so fast, right? I think I answered your question more than.
There's a few my questions.
Yeah. Continue. Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Any questions?
Yeah. What's your question?
Who are your most inspirational concept artists? Like the ones that you always look at their artworks and stuff.
Oh yeah. It's different. Like video games, I have a few, you know, heroes in video games. In movies, there's a few. Like video games, I love Gears of War. I love James Hawkins. Like he's the concept artist for Gears of War. He's extremely talented. I met him one time. He's really nice guy. You know, really humble. You know, yeah. So I like his work. And then like all the concept artists at ArenaNet are really good. You know, they do Guild Wars 1, Guild Wars 2. You know, ArenaNet. Daniel Doshu is the art director. He's really good. You know, he's a veteran, you know, industry veteran. I really like his work. Like for movies, man, he has changed so much. But because when I was learning, I love Feng Zhu, Ryan Church. You know, I always look at their stuff, right? Now I like the character designer from Avatar, and he did all the monster from, you know, the new movie, like Cloverfield, Avatar, Aliens versus Cowboys. What is his name? I totally forgot his name right now. But I like his character design. Really cool. Yeah. Does that answer your question? Yeah.
How about in illustration?
In illustrations?
Yeah.
Wow. I know Massive Black has awesome illustrator. Massive Black is the top concept house in the US. You know, they mainly do contract work, freelance, right? They do all the, you know, games, movies, and stuff like that. Massive Black, they have a lot of good illustrator in there. It's very touchy subject because concept artist is not illustrator. You know, you might think they're doing similar stuff, right? But concept artists, we're dealing with production work. Illustrator takes somebody else's design and do a pretty painting out of it. That's an illustrator. You know, sometimes, yeah, illustrators do some original stuff. But over in America, illustrator usually, like, you know, like, I already did my concept. I'm gonna hire an illustrator to do a pretty illustration based on my game, right? So I will give him all my concept art, and then he will, you know, do a pretty picture. It's a different job duty, you know what I mean? That's like more like in the video game industry, in the entertainment industry. You know, like advertising might have it differently, you know. But if you like, you feel free to email me. I can point you to some references. Okay, if you're interested. Like, I mean, just speaking of reference, like websites I go often, right, to look at reference. I go to like CG Hub, cghub.com. I know like conceptart.org is good for concept art. You know, a lot of students post their work there. You know, DeviantArt is also okay. You know, it's okay, right? But you'd be amazed at how many masters are in DeviantArt. It's just, you know, because there's a lot of student work. There's a lot of like, people who are not good posting stuff, right? But it's a community. It's a community. You never know who might, you know, you might bump into in the future. Who might give you a job in the future, right? Just keep an open mind and just go in.
Thanks for answering.
Yeah, no problem. Any questions? Back to Mr. Mark.
Hey, how do you handle rejections?
With a smile. There's nothing else you can do, you know. I was like, hey, all right, you know, like, all right, that didn't work, right? It's not my fault, right? It's just the project needs something else, right? The production needs something else, right? A lot of times, you have to get used to rejection. Right? It's just normal. It's just part of your career, you know. Every day I go into work expecting my art director rejecting my art, you know. It's just the nature of it, you know. Because it's fine. Because if it's rejected, you're like, okay, this idea didn't work out. Let's explore something else. Okay, explore new solution. Okay, because the goal is to meet what the project needs, not your personal goal. Okay, the goal in a work environment is what works for the project. It's not your own personal project. It's not for your own personal gain. So you got to think about it. What works for the team? You know, what works for the project? If my art director says this doesn't work, this sucks. Like, okay, sorry, I will do something else. You know, hopefully, I don't think the art director is gonna fire you. You know, it's not your fault. You know, you just get used to it, taking it as a challenge. Like, because I learned so much from you know, all the, you know, rejection and stuff like that. It's just, you know. Then I start to pay attention on my weaknesses, right? I've done a lot of illustration, but not as strong as what my art director wanted. And then, you know, he'd tell me sometimes, oh, I know it myself, like, yeah, I could have, you know, spent more time over there, or I could have done better here. I know my own weaknesses. So the next time, if the same assignment comes in, I know, like, I gotta pay attention to this. I gotta make sure I don't make the same mistakes. Does that help?
Right now.
Yeah, cool.
Anyone else have any questions? Let's say last two questions.
So if you get rejected, how do you start the new research? Start all the thing again. How do you start all the thing again?
How do you start all over again? You know, you go back to the drawing board, and well, first of all, this is the communication part, right? Okay, I know like graphic design, you deal with it all the time with the clients, right? Like, you know, but this is the communication part. Always communicate with your art director, your client. Okay, this is what I'm doing. Okay. Like, it's all transparent. Okay, this is what I'm doing. Constantly emailing, you know, showing them this is what I'm doing. Is this correct? This is what I'm doing. Is this correct? This is what I'm doing. Is this correct? You know what I mean? Then if they still reject it, sometimes you can go back and explain that, hey, I've shown you this 5 times. You didn't say anything, right? Now you tell me it's not working. Okay, if it's like a freelance I'm doing, I'll set my guideline. You know, like you can only like have 2 feedback. If you have more than that, I have to charge you extra. You know what I mean? Like, my time costs money. You know, that's freelance, right? In a studio, you know, like same thing. Always, like, you know, when you work at a stage, like when you have done a thumbnail or a quick mock-up, always call your art director or your boss. Like, hey, look at this. What do you think? What do you think? Get your feedback. Okay? Don't wait until you're finished. Then only you show it, and then you get rejected, and then you be like angry, you're frustrated, you want to go punch somebody, you know, like, you know, you call your friend, and like, whoa, you know, like, don't let that happen, you know, because try to avoid that from happening. So if that happens, this is the communication part. Now you need to ask critical questions. Okay, hey, tell me why this didn't work. Tell me what you want. Tell me what style you want. Show me an example. Okay, go to Google. Show me an example. What do you want? Is this what you want? You know, like get very clear and precise when that happens, because you're losing time, right? You're losing time. Now there's no more time to explore or play, right? So get very precise feedback, okay? Like write it down, always record it down, because if somebody tells, well, I didn't say that, it's like, hey, here's the proof, okay? There's an email communication, you wrote it that way, or, you know, I always carry my notepad every time I go for meetings or brainstorm, because you gotta write down everything. Your brain cannot remember everything, okay? You know, well, one of my coworkers got so angry sometimes with my art director, right? He started recording everything he said in a meeting. You know, like he started writing the dialogue that he says, right? I was just laughing, because he's like, wait, remember you said the blah 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 blah, you know? And then my director's like, yeah, well, but still, you know, what do you think about it? And it's like, oh, you try your best to protect yourself, right? You try your best to protect yourself. You'll be dealing with this for the rest of your life, right? You just try to protect yourself. But communication, right? Because your art director also wants to finish your assignment on time, right? So, you know, he shouldn't be like wasting your time playing with different ideas if there's no more time. So you need him to be very precise. If he's not, get him accountable on it, right? Get him accountable, like, this is what you say, this is what you told me. You know, unless we both mean different things, like whenever, like I don't want to assume anything. Every time my art director says something, I don't want to assume I understand what he's saying. I always pretend to be a dumb guy, right? It's like, okay, I think I know what you're saying, but can you show me an example? Okay? Then he'll like do some Google images or pull up some reference from other projects. Like, this is what I want, and okay, now I know what you want. You know, it's a double checking. You're always double checking, double confirm everything, because you don't want to waste time, right? It's a problem. So, yeah, problem.
Okay, last question.
Last question. Yes.
So when you are doing your project or assignment, you will have stress or pressure if you got rejected or the deadline is reporting or don't have idea. How you reduce the pressure or stress?
Well, you can take a deep breath, right? Take a deep breath, and, you know, you get emotional. You know, it's just natural. You get emotional, right? With like, I just spent 2 days with Ace, right? And then you get rejected, you get really frustrated and angry, right? But you have to control that. You have to keep yourself calm. You know, be professional. It's like, all right, I'm sorry, I didn't get what you want. Take deep breaths, and then, you know, like you have to handle it politely and professionally, okay? And then once you leave the building, you can go jogging, you can go punch something or whatever, and then come back with a relaxed mind, right? Like I always like to walk around the office, you know, like sometimes I'm really like real frustrated, right? Like, you know, I just walk around, I'll take a coffee break, you know what I mean? Go outside, get some oxygen in my lung. If I stay in my office, my head's gonna explode, kind of thing, you know. You just have to keep calm. It's just a professional courtesy, you know. Some professionals do explode. You know what I mean, it's normal because it's human emotion. Some people cannot hold it. They start F this, F that, you know, start yelling, you know, and then, you know, it's not gonna help, because once you get angry, the other people might get angry, right? And then there's no longer a solution, right? And everybody just, and usually like when that happens, most of the time they'll just, all right, time out. All right, everybody chill, take a break. We'll come back later and talk about it, right? You go back, calm yourself, think about it, and then come back with a solution. You know, usually professionals are expected to do that, right? You just have to try your best to control it, right? Go, like, you know, sometimes I might work all day doing something, and then my director's like, well, that's not what I want, you know, but then it's time to go home. I'll go home, don't think about it, watch a movie, right, do something, clear my head. When I go back the next day, I feel better, you know, you feel better. It's like, oh, I see now why he didn't like it, right? Then I start something new, you know, because, but you like try to find new inspiration, you know, new idea, and do it again. A lot of time that works pretty good. And then you realize this is normal. Like you realize, wow, I made a big mistake yesterday. You know, that's why it was rejected. Now I realize, wow, I sucked yesterday. I'm glad I didn't like go angry, right? Like now you realize, like, wow, he was right. This is much better. When you have something better and it was approved, a lot of times you feel it like this is so much better. He was right, kind of deal. And then you learn. You learn as a grower. And then you know it teaches you to be like more humble, right? Like, you know, because a lot of times we think this is the best idea, right? But somebody might have a better idea. You just have to accept it. Like, that is a better idea. I will try that. You know, I'll accept this idea bad. I'll do it again. You know, hopefully you have time, right? But any question? Any more questions? Last one? No? You done?
I have one last one.
All right. Okay. Good.
Okay. Just now you showed us all your artworks, which is very nice,
Right.
professional.
Great.
So how do we improve and become like you?
Well, you know, I try to keep myself humble, low profile, right? Like there's always somebody better than you, okay? And every great artist I've met overseas in US or Malaysia, everybody's extremely humble, okay? Because there's nothing to be egoistic about it. There's nothing to be like so big-headed about. You know, you're just doing your job. You know, you're good at what you're doing, and you're always growing. There's always somebody better than you. There's so much more you can learn. You can never finish learning. So just, you know, treat everybody with respect and treat yourself with respect, right? And when you do that, you will grow. Like you will open up your mind. Like I want to learn. I want to learn. I want to learn. I constantly want to learn, right? Like I'm not good enough. I want to learn. I'm not good enough. I want to learn. And then you will grow. You will keep growing. You know, you will keep growing. Don't have like a barrier. You know, don't set up like an ego or barrier around yourself. You know, then you will stop. You will stop growing. Then because you think you're so good, you're good enough. You're never gonna learn. You're never gonna stop growing. And then the next person next to you who has an open mind will grow more and more. You know, that's it's just normal. Right? That's what I try to do. Like I'm still not good. You know, I'm still not good. Like American creative industry is extremely competitive. Like I'm getting older. Okay. Like, I don't have the energy I have when I was in Saito, right? Like, I'm competing with people like you guys. You know what I mean? Like, in my job right now, like, I'm competing with college students who eat, sleep, breathe concept art, okay? They do nothing but concept art, tutorial. Like, I have to go home and play with my daughters. I have to spend time with my wife. I can't afford to, like, I don't have that time anymore and energy anymore, right? So your career is going to transition. You know, you're going to transition slowly to something else, or to something else. Like that's like I talk to my friends all the time. You know, we are like same age, same level in a professional career. You know, it's a common thing. It's like that's why you see like senior level people. They become more management position. They have experience. They know what to do. But they need people like you guys to do it. You know, you have the energy, the passion, right? The skills to do it. And then you hopefully you can use their experience to your advantage, okay? And we, like if I'm a manager, I can use your energy and your skill to my advantage because we both will do something cool, right? I mean that's the nature of it, you know. Like I'm dealing with a different set of problems like you guys, right? You know. But I mean, like I'm back to like like the concept art industry in US is extremely competitive. You know, every day students will learn something new from the internet or the teacher. They're getting better and better, which is good. They're raising the industry standard higher and higher, right? So I also have to keep up with that, right? You know, I have to keep up with that with little time and energy I have to keep up with that. So what do I do? Like with less time, I need to do it smarter. Right? I don't have time to make mistakes. I gotta make sure whatever I'm doing, the homework I'm doing it's 100% accurate, it's correct. You know, like less mistake. So I'm trying to do that. Like, so you always grow. Like just keep learning and keep growing. You know. Yeah, keep growing. You never finish growing. And, hey, I'm from Saito. Right? I'm like you guys. In 1996, I was here. You know, I was here. And then I was just, all right, I'll try it, see what I can do. And here I am, talking to you guys right now.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks.
behalf of Saito College, I'd like to present this to you as a token of appreciation.
Oh, wow. Cool. Thank you.
Thank you for coming.
Thanks. Thank you. Awesome. Thanks. Thanks so much.
Okay, that's it. Thank you very much.
I have some business card here if you want.